We know that was the very first project for PNC and Isaacson. What are you doing to help them?
Do you want to start, Tiago?
Yes, based on the similar bridges that we have designed and also that PNC has built, we are constantly sharing experiences concerning construction methods and also reinforcement arrangements so that we can try to improve the construction side with time. I remember that probably the most important ones were the small adjustments. I would not call it relevant changes, the small adjustments that we needed to do to meet the requirements from the steel suppliers, specific requirements from the steel suppliers. This was probably the most relevant ones in the beginning, but Oystein, you can also share your thoughts on this.
And I think the part where we need to improve the most is definitely making life easier for people at site. And the thing I think it's most important to do improve at site is reading the model reinforcement, since so much time at site is used installing it. And we have very good communication with the PNC here, so we learn a lot and we try to adopt accordingly. And even though the model is now more or less finished and approved, there's still a lot of changes we can, tweaks we can do to make data more accessible or divide the structure into even smaller parts. The essential thing is giving the right information to the right people at the right time. There's so many things you can do to improve there, and I think we're slowly improving it.
How are health and safety measures transmitted to the teams on site?
Well, we have documents linked to the model, but for the structure and model itself, those things have not been implemented to a high level yet. But there's certainly a thing that could be improved, and I think will be improved pretty soon, together with maintenance operation information.
The last episode of the Ministry of Bridges, I made a question that was, I wanted to know how you highlight objects that are potential, or they need to be really clash-free.
Yeah, we've added an attribute called placement priority, and that would tell you which object in case of a clash would be the most important one. And that could be pendant anchoring. That would of course be a very important thing. Maybe bearings, different special kind of reinforcement could have that. So that's the way we found to most easily describe that. Important rebars are color coded, so you would notice here's something special, here's something I need to pay extra attention to. But again, there's certainly a lot of development that could be done on this field. It's sort of reinventing the wheel. So you don't have all that much to go on. And engineers, we're good at designing, but we're not always good at teaching or transforming information. So that's a whole new market of engineering that's being developed right now.
Sigmund, you are very quiet for some time, so it's your turn to answer a couple of questions. My question is about if the client is going to use the model for asset management, or if it is going to be just a closed page, tick the box, well done, and that's it.
I guess that's a question to be answered, isn't it? We have touched on the different sort of issues or challenges we meet in the construction phase of the building, but asset management or management and operation and maintenance is an issue that's regarded as especially difficult in regards to models. we had to limit how we're going to face all these challenges. So yes, the models will be used in MOM, but how we don't know yet. So what we have done in Norway especially is sort of limited to the construction site, saying something like if you are to build a power plant, I use this analogy a lot. If you are to build a power plant, your target is to build a power plant. When you're going to manage a power plant, your target is to develop power. And this is sort of the different premises that we use when we are regarding the models in terms of construction and in MOM. So to limit the challenge in regard of MOM, we said, okay, so we look at the asset management tools of the MOM as for now, and said, okay, so you have this structure of how you see a bridge or so, and we said, okay, so the model needs to be structured the same way as the asset management tool. So when the MOM are ready to make use of these models, they will be able to extract the information from the models using their structure as they see it. So as of now, we just archive the model just like we do drawings, so they can pick it up later on and make use of the information. So yes, they will make use of the models. As of now, they can just use it as they use drawings, basically. But as asset management tools and MOM are developing in using the model, they can extract the information from the models using their original structure of their asset management tool.
And as long as you have the native model, changing attributes for object is very easy. So say you were to get a list of required new attributes for operation and maintenance, it would be very easy and relatively fast to make a new updated model.
So Sigmund, I'll go back to you, but I need to ask something to Tiago that I think ties with what we're talking here. So is the bridge originally going to have some sort of sensors?
No, this contract, unfortunately, it was not included in the original contract from the client. We did some bridges like this in Portugal, several bridges like this that have structural health monitoring systems included. But since this was a design and build project, this was not foreseen in the beginning. So this is something that probably on the next contracts, the client should look more closely, because it's very important to know the real behavior of the materials that you are using on site, not only in the laboratory like we know it. And for this, I think this is an improvement that we recommend for the future projects for design and build models in Norway.
Yes, that is great. And now I can jump to Sigmund. Are the figures for the improvement in cost efficiency going to be shared?
Yeah, I'm sure they will. And now we go back to the different roles again, because the cost efficiency is something that's monitored by the project owners, right? So I don't hold those figures, but I know from previous reviews that they will share it. Of course they will. If there are something to learn or there are some cost beneficials, they will share it. What I do know is that a previous review that we did was released and showing a comparison with traditional projects and projects using elements of BIM. What it showed was that traditional project had a cost overrun about 25%. Using elements of BIM, they reduced that cost overrun by half. So instead of 25%, you had 12, 13, 8 in that kind of numbers. So it's of course that even there you see sort of the beneficial about using BIM. And I'm sure that as it develops, you will see new reviews and new figures.
Is there any kind of incentive?
Yeah, if you look at the contracts, I'm sure they sort of have these incentives, but basically what I told you is if you look at the model numbers, it's just math, isn't it? An infrastructure project runs from a couple of millions to billions of NOK, you know? So if you halven your overrun, there you have the intense incentives, aren't they?
biggest challenge and the coolest episode that you remember?
I think the tendon geometries, they were definitely one of the highlights and coolest stuff for me in this project. When I first saw the sort of preliminary designs from Tiago's crew, they were, first of all, they look amazing. So it's cool looking. It's a practical design. It's been, they've practiced this for quite a few bridges, and I sort of had the honor of transforming that into a 3D BIM model, and it wasn't very simple, and we learned a lot during that, and I think we also developed some very nice processes to actually verify that the geometry is good and it's as designed.
I remember that we commented that just as a side comment when we first took a look at the geometries that impressively Rasmus included in the model. The first time we took a look at the tendons in one view only, I think that I remember like yesterday that he commented, and it was my view as well, that it was the arteries of the bridge.
Yeah,
and it was impressive. It was an expression I will never forget it, because it in fact it looks like the arteries of.
For me, I think it has been two things. Like one thing is working with so many talented people, and that's so extremely good at what they do, and they're also humble to other people's knowledge, and these are people that I really hope to work with again, because it's been a fantastic ride. And the other thing I remember very vividly is standing there and seeing Rito's design and how extremely complex and thought through everything was. I was used to 50-meter bridges with a straight span and thought that this would be just a larger copy, and it slowly dawned on me, no, this is so much more complex. But everyone in the team had said they could deliver, so it was sort of, okay, Poland, go. Denmark, go. Finland, go. Portugal, go. Okay, we're ready for launch. And then everyone has delivered all the time. And it's a dream come true, and that's why I love being an engineer.
Yes, I totally second that. I am coming back a little bit to the culture itself and the difficulty of us adapting, because this is all interconnected, right? I must say that this was not difficult at all to adapt to this way of working. On the contrary, it was in fact very fun, very fun. And we just needed, like we discussed on our first talk, we just needed to ask ourselves, how will we do it, and when does it have to be ready? But we all know that we are engineers, so we were taught to solve these kind of challenges. So with an excellent team spirit like we had here, and I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of all the guys that work here, we just did the design you see now, and that the NCA is building at that.
To mention one more thing, to have the backing of Sigmund and Vegdirektoratet, they've been very forward leaning when it comes to their ambition, and they've included all the companies in Norway doing this kind of work, trying and not being too rigid in how they want their model. They have constantly been saying, well, just try it and we'll comment on it. Not everything is going to be kept. We moderate as we go, but I think it's a very good approach.
I may have to switch the answer of the coolest episode I've experienced now. Thank you, guys. If I were to answer the biggest challenge question you have is for us, it's probably the meeting of the skepticism of this thing. It's obviously not in regards to this group, but basically BIM is a new thing, you know. So always when you introduce new things, you meet this skepticism. And it's a new way of handling information. It's a new way of working, and all this is met with the skepticism. And how to flip it and make it work has sort of been the greatest challenge, but also the greatest experience as well. Because when you see the thinking is sort of moving along, you can see the enthusiasm and the engagement of all parties. So it's also been a very great experience as well. But that's the thing, isn't it? It's always a challenge, but you overcome it, and then you see the result, and it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, and maybe the question that I had prepared for next, so I think is more or less answered, because it was to do how to avoid the silo culture, right? But then from the moment you are involved with a team that everyone is pushing for the same side, maybe naturally that silo culture disappears. And this kind of, I'm giving my opinion and I should be making questions, but please agree or disagree.
I think design and build projects are very good to develop these ways of working, because you get constant feedback from site as well. So we've learned a lot from comments from site and constantly trying to adopt. And we have a long list of things that they have commented that we want to improve for the next project as well.
Well, Gabriel doesn't know that yet, and probably Sigmund doesn't know it as well, but we had some hackathons at SWECO. And the hackathons are a big room full of amazing experts in BIM, and just shooting at me questions, technical questions, and how can I do this, how can I do that, and just please answer me in 5 seconds. So
I think I mostly interviewed Tiago there.
So after 8 hours of questions like that, you imagine my end of the day.
So is that on the coolest stuff or the bad? Okay, all right, okay. That's good to know.
A bit like these gaming events, just that you get paid for it.
Yes. But I must say that it was crucial for the communication after those hackathons, and for me to understand how people that were modeling were thinking and are thinking when they do the modeling. And this was very, very helpful for us and for me personally to model my way of communicating with them in a way that we could transfer the information more fast, more quick.
Right. Next question. I could maybe wrap these 2 questions. It's kind of your advice. And the first thing is for all the designers, owners, contractors, DOTs around the globe that they want to be part of this revolution. Any advice for them how to go and tackle a project similar like this one, building without drawings?
I think again, design and build are good projects to start with. I think technology is there wherever as long as you have a computer and something to a modeling tool, you have the equipment. So I guess you need an approval government that allows you to do it, and you also need a contractor to work with, and understanding their problems is essential, and gaining their trust is essential.
I agree, and I think my advice would definitely be for them to see challenges like these as a goal to achieve, and not as a showstopper to stay in comfort zones. I think this is a goal to achieve, and it's possible to do it. It's just, of course, hard work. We all know it, but it's possible to do it. It's a matter of just investing for that.
And Tiago, maybe an extra question, just focusing to Armando, Rito procedures in-house. Is this influencing the company attitude towards BIM?
For sure. It's influencing 100%, because we understood that even though we were already investing some time searching for this way of work. Unfortunately, we don't have owners and industry like there is in Norway. So we will have to lead this in Portugal. So now it's no turning back. Now it's full speed ahead, and we are also changing everything internally so that we can be as close as possible to Norway.
Wow. Well, very, very inspiring. And yeah, I'm feeling proud at this moment. I think engineering, I think bridges, it's very, very cool. So what is the advice you have for those kids that they need to make their decision towards what they're going to do in the future, maybe study, going to that kind of degree or that kind of industry in order to work in engineering, working at the Department of Transportation, maybe at a site worker too, because there are so many cool new technologies for them. So what is your advice?
For my part, I think I haven't had time to learn parametric design yet myself, but learning parametric design is one of the key things I would recommend, because it can be used to so many things, and it's just building rules to design basically anything, and I see so many advantages and so many ways and fields it can be used in. I'm probably stealing your thing now, Rasmus, but so that's one thing. And then another thing is whatever you're gonna build at home, if it's a dollhouse or if it's a toy car or whatever, get some kind of modeling tool and model it before you build it. One thing is that you then understand what you're up against better, and you can plan it a bit better, and you also understand what object-based modeling is. Lately I used it to build a tree house with my kids, and I also used it when I was going to do a sofa on my veranda. Both of them are horrible structures and not very well carved in wood, but at least it would be even worse if I hadn't modeled it 3D.
Yeah, I would have a little more simpler advice. It would be something like just do it, because like I didn't actually, when I graduated, I didn't actually get like a lot of education about bridges, and there was a bit of a shortage of engineering jobs in Finland, and I was actually going to be like a fire consultant. So it didn't even seem very exciting, but it was the only job I could get. So I was going there, and I actually already had the contract signed. But then SWECO was just looking for like someone to assist in bridge modeling, and I just thought that, okay, I always wanted to do bridges. I'll just go there, even though I had to work almost 200 kilometers away from home. So I traveled by train 2 hours every day, and then I just accumulated knowledge on the job. So I would just say, if you really want to do something specific, just set it as your target and sort of just do it, go for it.
Contribute as well is because we are talking about the design and all this thing, but the construction industry in general is huge, isn't it? And it shows for collaboration, creativity, public interest as infrastructure building and all these things, and you get to go back, point at it, and say, I contributed to that. And that's a beautiful thing, isn't it? So our industry is filled with a lot of challenges that you are able to overcome, and very interesting industry as well, isn't it?
I can second that. It was my same thought. It was the same thought. I think that we have to show the youngest that we can build a better society with this project. We have participated in this interesting project, but it can be not only inspiring, but it can be cool using technology to do it. Because nowadays we have came from, not me, but the office has came from models in plastic to drawing into transparent drawings, then to paper drawings, and now we are luckily into 3D modeling, right? And we have the luck of seeing all this evolution. I was commenting this a lot to Oystein and Rasmus. We still have a lot to show. We haven't stopped here just because we did Randselva Bridge. Now we have many ideas on how we will do next, what we will do next. So it's just a matter of finding another way to do it. And this is what I think that detail and what we do, we have to learn how to show it more properly to the youngest, because they just see a piece of concrete, gray concrete there in the street, and they don't have any clue of how fun it can be to do it.
And one thing I also have to add is being an engineer is fantastic in the way that all people are pulling in the same direction. There's very little different motivations, and people are helping each other and sharing. That's a fantastic work environment. And suddenly you find yourself in a podcast, so crazy things can happen.
I have one question, that is this going to be it?
I think it's try to find something to compare it to, but maybe it's a little bit like changing from combustion engines to electric cars, because a car nowadays, an electric car have from one year to another you have huge leaps in new technology because you change your platform, and that's what's happening here as well. That you doing drawing-based models, you had incremental small improvements all the time, and since we're over on a new platform, we have so many things we can improve. So no, it's definitely not the end. This is just the infinity and the tiny beginning.
This is the start of it. This is not it. This is the start of it.
Yes, and where are we going?
That's a very good question, and I sometimes, when I have doubts if we're on the right path, I think that like in say 50, 100 years, a lot of the manual work at site will be probably robots doing, but you would never feed a robot 2D drawings. So first you need to teach humans to read 3D models, and then you can switch from humans to machines where it's feasible. So when you see it that way, there's no other way.
Yeah, and I want to sort of, when also Tiago said we have Randselva, and now we see a lot of possibilities. And every time you ask yourself the question you ask is, where do you see it end? It's like every time you ask the question, you always see new possibilities, and it always develops. I can't tell you where it's going to end. It's just, yeah, as said earlier, it's the mere beginning, and the possibilities are infinite.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah, there are probably things that we don't even know that what's going to come. Like I was just thinking that basically at the moment we're transferring data with the model, but could we actually transfer knowledge or even sort of wisdom out of it? So there might be new ways to share information in the future, and maybe we'll try to implement that, whatever it is.
Suggestive modeling, like where people at site don't know that they're wondering about stuff, and you have a model that would sort of tell them you probably need to know this.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe technology offers new possibilities in the future.
Yes, for sure. There are lots of other things, the repetitive tasks, and I can see reward detailing. Reward detailing is something that the AI can easily have a go, and then with a human input to solve those tricky locations, and I can see that can be used.
We actually have quite a few AI rebar detailing demos. You should talk to Ricardo Farinha if you want to know more about that.
I have one more question that I kept on purpose to the very end, and the question is, why are you doing this?
Sigmund, take it away.
Yeah, it's already been answered, isn't it? Why not? That's a fairly easy. It's this is what engineers or whatever in the industry we live for this challenge, you know, and why don't they grasp it with both hands and run with it? And that's the question. The answer is why not?
Mixi A.
Porque não?
Hvorfor ikke?
Why not?
And Rasmus, are you why not, or why are you doing this?
Yeah, I'm with Sigmund on the why not, but I think there's also like for all of us like a need to improve all the time. So you don't want to be stuck repeating the same things. But if you see something that you can advance, you're gonna do it. So that's the point when you ask why not, then you do it. So
Oystein?
Just not having to do extremely boring 2D reinforcement drawings. That's motivation in itself. But I think my main point is if we're gonna make robots do more of the work that we do in the future, there's really no other way of doing it.
So, Tiago?
Well, it's a tricky question, but I guess that, and we have to tell that we already knew that you were going to ask us this question, so I thought about it a little bit. But I think that for me personally, it's because it's fun, and it's fantastic to know that we can make a difference. Each one of us can make a difference. Also, that we will always be able to have the chance to improve if we work more and more, and if we work hard, and we believe we can do it. I think for me personally, this is the big question mark here.
So it was very inspiring. I'm full of ideas just to listen to you all. You could have a 3D printer on site. They have their daily routine, right? And if you print what they need to build in the small scale, then they know what to do, right? But I don't know if this is cheating or not. But just an idea.
I've never thought about that, but I don't think that's a bad idea. I think that's that's a very good idea.
Actually, last year I bought a 3D printer because I see 3D printing as basically a new production method in the future. And like for BIM, we need to sort of get in front of it, and so when the technology sort of catch up with us, we need to be sort of I don't know how to say it, but prepare ourselves, because we know at one time the industry will make use of the 3D printing. So actually, it's not a stupid idea; it's actually a good idea, because I think in 10 years' time we would see 3D printing as a production method in the construction industry, as well as other industries. So yeah.
I've seen BAM Nuttall already printing 7 or 9 meter span bridge, so the 3D concrete bridge printing. We are in the very end of this interview. Many other questions were drafted. We have no more time. I need to thank you all for being here and to give me this amazing experience. And I think you feel proud on that side because you worked and you are working on it. You have no idea how cool it is. Just listen to you guys. We could stay hours talking about Randselva Bridge project and what is coming from that project.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.